All right. Welcome to the number one place to get better at League of Legends. I am NEACE, and it is time to get cracking. I'll start with the news in the world of League of Legends. Let's talk about what's happening in the League of Legends world. Basically, now that Worlds has ended, we have now gotten to, this is your last, I think this is like the last day. Basically, the way this works is, wherever your rank is, essentially what's going to happen is you're going to have that's going to be your end of season rank. And then you'll have all of preseason, which I am also very excited to start. We'll have preseason to get ready for League of Legends, which in my opinion, League is going to be shaken up immensely next year. Yeah, it's going to be big changes next year. I mean, the jungle changes, like I've talked about in previous announcements, the jungle changes are massive. There's now like pets in the jungle. Items are getting changed. There's a new dragon. There's new gimmicks with the fucking dragon, the new dragon. Yeah, there's just going to be a lot of stuff. Let's talk about it in the news. So basically, Worlds ends, and now this is the classic Western thing that we do, is now we flame pros and we say how bad they are, and we say how bad NA is. So that's been kind of a trend that I've seen recently. Like Humanoid, he's an EUS mid laner. He's regarded as being pretty good, but now everybody's just like talking shit on NA. This is like standard. Vulcan had like this, I don't know if you know who Vulcan is. He's a pro player, he's a support main. He's a damn good support player, to be honest. And essentially I'll summarize this for you, but basically Vulcan made a tweet that was like, yo, Steve and Platt, stop flaming me, essentially, right? Just getting tired of fans shitting on NA players and saying that NA players are like paycheck stealers or whatever. But eventually Vulcan, because Twitter is Twitter, Vulcan got flamed by the entire esports scene and was kind of forced to go back and be like, okay, yeah, like I said something a little brash, but I'm going through it, and so is anybody that's playing pro League of Legends. At least here, I'll show you what I mean. If this will load for me, I don't know. I'm not even logged into my account anymore because Twitter's kind of dying at the moment. But essentially, Vulcan says, what I tweeted earlier seemed like I condemned fans from criticizing NA pros. What got me mad was that fans were making up their minds about the region as a whole. And then he kind of winds this down with a TLDR. He writes a lot. I mean, stuff like these are legitimate things. Like the everyday internal conflict going for me during the season is feeling like I should queue up for the next solo queue game, but knowing that I won't be able to get much out of it because of all the reasons. Do I take a break, go read, watch a show, make sure that I can go to sleep feeling relaxed? Do I wait 15 minutes in queue and risk the chance of being frustrated with the quality of gameplay and conditions in order to be sharper in scrims tomorrow? And then he basically ends like, TLDR, it's fine that Steve is in low elo, you can criticize, but he doesn't know what it's like. Don't tell people that they should lose their livelihood because of reasons you don't quite understand. I would say that I'm gonna play both sides here. On one side, I can understand NA fans being frustrated that every time NA goes to the world stage, they get ass blasted. I can understand as a fan being frustrated about that. But I do not believe you will never get me convinced that it's the pros' fault. Like, I feel like pros get the blame for something that it's Riot's responsibility. And honestly, if Vulcan ever sees this from me talking, dude, you can't. Like, this platform, like, obviously Twitter, like, is going through it right now in itself, but, like, Twitter and TikTok are very... I've done a lot of, like, self-reflection as a content creator recently. And I found something to be true, and at least when I think about it. I've been on Twitter for over 10 years. I've been on TikTok now for about a year or so. I have a pretty good following on TikTok already, and I have a pretty whack following on Twitter, even after being on it for 10 years. The most following that I've gotten has been through on Twitter has been through drama, and I've never monetized. I've never been able to monetize Twitter. I recently monetized one ad for a couple grand, but it was in conjunction with like Twitter and TikTok and other things. The reason I tell you this, the reason why I tell you guys this, is because what is happening here, the more I thought about this and stepped away from it, because obviously, like, when you're getting hated on and like public perception is like people said some stuff on Twitter or people said some stuff on TikTok and like everybody thinks they're right, even if they're wrong, even whatever, even if it's bullshit, it doesn't matter, because once it gets the impressions, you get in trouble. This is where you have people that say that I've never ever made Challenger ever, and that the only time I've ever played high elo was like duoed or whatever, right? You get stuff that's like obvious misinformation. And then you get stuff like Night Blue, where it's like he gets accused of being misogynistic. And then you get stuff like Professor Akali, where he's getting accused of having like contracts, like contract jails for content creators. The point that I'm trying to make is that Twitter and TikTok in general are just platforms designed to talk shit. That's basically all these platforms really are. Because you can't actually like you can't put like a financial gain like analysis on it. Like I can't definitively prove to you what the hell Twitter's ever given me. Just like on TikTok, I can't tell you that I've actually made anything with it. Most of the revenue that I get from TikTok, it just seems to be like non-existent, and it just seems to be people talking shit and like really like hateful content. Right? It's just like hateful content. Like the more, that's why I made Angry Niece like a month ago, is it was kind of like in a social experiment. It was like, what if I just yell and rage and type shit and say ridiculous shit and delete my tweets and like hater tweets and retweet hater tweets and all this stuff. And immediately I noticed that my Twitter just grew. Like my Twitter just grew, started growing instantly. And I recognized that like you really are truly incentivized to just be obnoxious on these platforms. And so what I would say to Vulcan is, in regards to this, is bro, just seriously, if you're a pro player, if you're somebody who's actually living it and not talking it, there's literally no reason. There's no reason to use this platform. Like there's no reason to use it. Because all you do, like when you use this platform, and the same thing with TikTok, if I'm being completely honest. Now, TikTok videos, we're going to post like highlight clips and whatever. And maybe after Twitter like gets its advertisers together, figures out what the fuck it's going to do, because I think it might legitimately go under. But I'm gonna be honest, like I'm just going to have a social media person. I'm not even really going to, you can see I'm not logged in. Because there's no point. Like if you truly are living it, if you're a pro player, if you're an active, like if you're somebody that's successful in the business, there's absolutely no reason to use these platforms. All it is for people to close gap. And that's all it is. It's to close gap through hate messaging and bullshit messaging and lies and just nonsense. That's essentially what this is. And if you subject yourself to it, look how much time this guy spent writing all this. Like I've responded to critics and stuff too, and it's just time waste. I mean, truly, it's all it is. Like, and if you read it, it's just like League of Legends. Like if you read it, if you haven't muted it, yeah, I mean, true. It's not even just business. It's mental health as well. I mean, you can maybe make the argument that like if you are somebody who is trying to make it in the space, Twitter could be used as an avenue to grow or to, you know, to get yourself out there. But I feel like it's like Black Hat. It's like the dark side. It's like there's no, you're not going to feel good because it's going to incentivize you to attack others, tear others down, talk shit. You know, take other people's bullshit criticisms of you seriously. It's just a very negative thing. And so in Vulcan's case, I don't even know why he thinks he owes, anybody anything, because the problem with pros playing outside of NA and getting shit on, it's more to do with the fact that there's not a legitimate practice environment for NA. And then people are going to say, oh, NEACE, what about Champs Q? And I'm just going to say, I don't give a fuck about Champs Q. It's meaningless. The only real practice environments that you can get is through teams that are better than you in the scrim environment, or you can have solo queue where you can tighten up your mechanics. NA doesn't actually have a spot where you can basically practice your mechanics in like a real environment. There's no real environment. If I go in Korea right now and I lane against people in like Diamond, that's again, like that's better than most Masters players that I've played against on NA. I mean, it's just facts. Like you could just watch the lane phases and you'll see it. In most cases, the players are at least laning. They're way better. And then it's only going to go up. Like the skill level is only going to go up, and it's already looking way better than NA. So, and I'm playing on low ping. So I feel like I'm getting better. I feel like as somebody who's not a pro, who has no ambition of ever being a pro player, I feel like I have a way better practice environment already than most of NA pro players. And that's not Vulcan or any pro player's fault. Yeah, I'm sure there's guys that are lazy in the space, but dudes, like, what a ridiculous ask. The servers on one side of the country, the LCS studios on the other side of the country, right? You don't actually get to practice unless you practice with the people that are in your sector on the West Coast. And the people that opt into Champs Q that are like high-rated players, they're not all playing over there too. Do you see where I'm going with this? There's always going to be like ping disparities, skill mismatches, and all sorts of stuff because we don't have a serious solo queue environment. I've been saying this for a while now, and I feel like NA pros are the ones that always get blamed, and they get accused of being paycheck stealers, and they get accused of being shitty people, and blah, blah, blah. They get accused of being sucky. I probably have spoken in the wrong order about this too, when I really think about it and assess it, and I've said the same thing, and I've been like, oh, NA pros suck, and it's like it totally oversimplifies the scenario. It's not really these guys are the best of the best that the region has to offer. They're not just like weak competitors. They're not just like weak mental people. You understand? They're not, or not necessarily all of them, right? It's just, it is what it is. If they're not getting tested, if they're not getting trialed constantly, of course. I could also make the argument that if NA pros are so bad, why are there so many imports that come over and just kind of flop? And I would again make the argument that even in the imports cases that come from other parts of the world that are really, really good, I would argue that those guys are competitive as well, and they want to stomp as well. But I believe that because, again, the practice environment is not great, a lot of these imports come over and they fall to the same shit. It's like, I can't stay up to enough of my mechanics. I could barely get things going. I mean, these truly are some of the best players in the world, in the country for sure. And they don't have the same tools. Like, I don't know. I mean it. I truly think just me playing solo queue here on like a low ping environment and practicing my laning is way more functional practice than anything you could do on NA. And Champions Queue includes that. Like, dude, I wouldn't want to do this Champions Queue shit where I'm constantly like in comms and having to talk to people when I want to just focus on, my skill set that I care about at that particular moment. Like, not every game needs to be like a 5v5. I mean, think about it in terms of coaching. Some coachings are better with VOD reviews. Some coachings are better with live coachings. Some coachings are better with the practice tool. Some coachings are just better with a mindset talk, like just talking about like what the fuck you need to be doing. I don't buy into this notion that like Champs Q is the end all be all, and that them not necessarily participating in it all the time means that they're obviously bad or whatever. That's my rant on this. I feel bad for anybody that feels like this, because I've definitely felt like I wanted to respond to this stuff, and I'm kind of at the point now where I realize that like Twitter's a place for people that talk it and don't live it, and I think that's what he was trying to say, and then he baited himself by posting it on Twitter, which is basically a platform of people that talk it and don't live it. Most people that talk about pro play and shit on pros have never ever been top anything at anything ever. Most successful people that post on Twitter get flamed by people that have never had a successful venture in anything ever. So you're just asked. It's like putting a bunch of sugar out and being surprised when like ants come and eat it. It's like, well, of course, dude. Like that's what they do. They're ants. Does that make sense? Everybody tracking what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to, let's see, is there anything else? I what your guys' opinion? Do you guys want me to like kind of cover pro stuff in the off season in the news? I could try to catch up to this stuff, but for now I'm just kind of skimming it because I don't know if it matters that much to my audience. But you guys let me know. Sante's balanced state. I saw this post. Listen, I'll be real with you. If you want a tank that's going to be broken here in the next couple months, you should invest in Sante. I'm going to tell you why. Because he's fucking garbage right now. He's really weak, which means that in a couple weeks or in a month or so, he's going to get buffed. 100%. He's going to get buffed and he's going to be overtuned. But here's my cautionary warning, though. Even though I think he's going to be buffed, and I think that a lot of players in low elo will get good value out of him, I don't know if he's ever going to be a high elo crusher. And it's because of my interactions with him versus like good laners. I've played against people that have like warmed up on him. He still seems weak, even with people that have like played him. I think that his range is like weirdly short. And I think it's too easy to dodge most of his kit, but that's why I think in low elo he's going to be pretty strong, especially when he gets buffed. But I never see this guy in my opinion. He seems like one of those champions. There's certain champions in this game. There's champions that like I'd argue that most champions in the league fall under two categories. It's a champion that can get to diamond, right? Which is pretty much all of them. But then there's champions that can go beyond diamond and they have a lot of things in their kit that allow them to kind of hang in a very, very high elo bracket. A champion like Talon is like an insane champion in low elo and high elo. He's got crazy mobility, crazy pick potentials. Even though he's an assassin, he like takes up a ton of space. His roams are nuts. Like that's a champion that goes beyond diamond. A champion like Sante is very, very limited in what he can do. And I'm not entirely convinced that he's like some crazy like 1v9 champion. But I am thinking that because he's so weak, he's going to get overbuffed soon. So do that with, and you want more examples of this, guys. More examples would be like, a champion like Jhin goes to diamond. A champion like Jhin struggles to go beyond diamond. A champion like TF goes to diamond. A champion like TF goes beyond diamond because he has his global. He has a lot of tools in his toolkit to make it to be very, very functional versus good players. A champion like Lee Sin goes to diamond. A champion like Lee Sin struggles to go beyond diamond. And a reason why a champion like Lee Sin struggles to go beyond diamond is because his kit isn't just like autopilot easy. Even though he's a strong early game champion, he doesn't carry through all circumstances. I'm trying to think of like other examples for you guys so you can wrap your head around what I'm saying. A champion like Pyke goes beyond diamond because a champion like Pyke has a lot of skill expression in the support role and can carry a game from the support role. Everybody tracking what I'm saying here? So I think Sante is like, I think he's solid if he gets a buff. And I think he's going to be kind of like one of those picks you could autopilot lock in low elo and stomp. But then I think around like high diamond, I'm not so sure that he's going to be some crazy pick. Because I just think that he doesn't like crush any of the carries. Like even if a buff goes through, he won't like lose, or he won't win versus any of the big carries that are in the top lane. He won't crush someone like a Camille. He won't crush somebody like a Fiora. He won't crush somebody like a Mordekaiser. He won't like, he's never going to crush those lanes if they break even with him. And he's just going to get outscaled in a lot of those cases. And he doesn't carry nearly as hard when he gets leads. So yeah, that's what I got. Let's see. Due to your great performance in the last match, you'll get your position in this game. I saw this for the first time in Wild Rift. Really? It was like the game was comforting me and encouraging me to keep it up. Does the main game, which is supposedly more popular, does not have this feature, and I did not hear somebody bring this up. Any thoughts on this main game? Seems like a no-brainer that would be included. Is that a thing? Huh. I feel like Wild Rift is essentially League of Legends 2, but for mobiles, which is a shame because I want League of Legends 2 on this fucking game or on this platform. But I think eventually when League of Legends finally sees like a major decline to the point of where Riot's concerned, they'll announce League of Legends 2. Because Wild Rift already has a bunch of shit in it that's like... you know what? That's what we should do. Well, somebody should get me a list. If somebody wants to DM me a list of all the cool shit that Wild Rift has that League of Legends doesn't, I will happily make a video on it. Because I don't have the time to look through all the Wild Rift shit again and like set up all that. But I know they have other shit like this. I know they do. I'd be very, very curious. All right, let's watch this newbie clip and then I'm gonna... That's pretty much a summary of like low elo, dude. People just chasing for half an hour. Oh god, I'd be so annoyed. This is called always hit Nexus. Do they lose? Do they lose? Fucking losers. You kids fucking suck. All right, I have to be nosy. Was this a real ranked game? That's the next question. Hold on. Did somebody legitimately throw a ranked game, or is this Reddit like posting norms again? Let's see. Let's see right now. Hold on. We have to get to the bottom. We have to get to the bottom of this. Caitlyn. Oh my god. You kids fucking suck dick. Holy shit. Lost a goal. How do you throw this hard? How do you guys throw this hard? Honestly, these are the types of losses. If I lose this game, I am so embarrassed. As like a human being, I am embarrassed for myself. These guys actually just throw. How do you do it? I cannot. I cannot. I would be so embarrassed. All right. That concludes the morning announcements. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys want me to cover some pro stuff occasionally, I can in the mornings.